What's up, everybody? This is Mind Your Money with MissBeHelpful, a show that highlights people and stories that will inspire you to get your money right. And today I'm doing things a little differently, which is definitely not a typical thing that you might hear. And today I have a guest named Cleo, who is from Cleo Yoga Finance. And she's starting a healthy financial lifestyle movement. So something you probably never heard. What's up, Cleo? Welcome to the show.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, no, girl, I'm so excited to talk to you because this is the first time that I've heard of somebody who really has such a clear, specific focus on joining together mindfulness, yoga practice, and personal finance, which is generally
hmm
not a combo that you see every day. So we're going to jump in and talk about your brand and what you've created with your platform definitely in a little bit. But first, I want to throw you just one or two fun questions about money. And the first one is, what is the most expensive purchase that you've made in your life that you regret it to this very day?
Yeah, so the most expensive one is spending $2,500 on credit repair. This someone who
Ooh.
said they could fix my credit in 30 days or less.
Mhm.
I regret it because it was a waste of my time, waste of my money,
Wow.
and I really wish I would have known or realized that I could educate myself, learn. Actually, could have used some of that money to actually pay a real financial advisor, financial coach, or credit specialist to teach me how I could do this. I ended up doing the research, learning how to do it myself, but I was in a desperate position, and you do things that you probably normally wouldn't do when you are desperate. That's why it's not a good idea to make financial decisions
Out of
while you're
desperation.
desperate
Yes.
and being stressed. So I had a friend that referred this person. So that's one of the reasons why I thought, well, I was like, well, you know what? Maybe they are legit. Maybe they can actually help me because I had a friend that said, hey, they helped me get my credit in a position where I can get me a new car. So
Wow.
I paid this person $2,500. They said that they would help fix my credit, but all they did was just go online and dispute everything on my credit report. And then that was
Oh,
it. There
goodness.
was no follow up. I called them, email, text. I ended up having to file a civil suit against them. I
What?
actually went to court, had them served by the sheriff
Oh
department.
my Lord. Oh my
But you know
goodness.
what? I got to the point where I was like, you know what? This is taking too much of my time and my mental peace.
And more
They
of your
told me
money?
at Yeah, they told me at the court office that I can, since I'm not getting a response anymore, that I could try to have his wages garnished. But I realized it was costing me more time and money to pursue him. So I just had to take it as a loss and a lesson
Oh
learned
my
that,
goodness.
when it comes to credit, if I have some things that I need to work out, I'm just going to learn how to do it myself and do that, or I'm going to hire an actual person who is a specialist and
It's a
can help me the
predator.
right way, the legal way to get it done. So, yeah, that's one that I regret, but I also look at it as a way that I learned because I quickly was able to do the research and learn how to repair my credit myself and get
Yeah.
rid of the negativity that was on there and add more positivity that was on there. So that's one that I regret and I would never do again and I would not recommend
Yeah.
anyone. And if anyone is thinking about hiring someone to help you with your credit, is just doing your research. Even if a
Yes.
friend recommends them, still do your own research,
Yes.
ask questions, and make sure you're making that right decision.
That is such a good one, man. I posted so many videos on YouTube early on when I first started my YouTube channel about doing your own credit repair. Like, this is how you increase your own credit score. Like, why
Yes.
would you're already struggling with money, obviously, if your credit score is not looking good. So just
hmm
keep your coins and fix it yourself. And if you really get to a point where you can't move forward, then you can try to get some credit help. But at first,
Yes.
all the basics can be done right from home by yourself with,
Yes.
that's definitely the way to go. So, oh man, I'm sorry that happened to you, but at the same time, you learned from it and it
Yes.
made you
I
stronger. And
did.
now you do your due diligence before you hire anybody.
Yes, definitely.
Oh man, love it. Okay, what about on the flip side? A time where you spent a lot of money. Maybe other people would look at your situation and judge you for it, but you are proud because that money was worth it for you to spend.
Yes. So one of the things that I felt that I am glad that I spent money on, one thing is I bought my mom a car. So
Mm.
it's nothing I would see as negative, but I've never
Yeah.
paid cash for a car before. I paid $12,640 for
Wow.
a car for my mom. And my mom had been without a car for about 20 years. She walked, rode
The
the
bus
bus,
message, right.
train, and she doesn't mind, so she got used to it. But she was always available when she could to, watch my daughter if I needed to
Yeah.
travel for work, things like that. So I said, you know what, I want to help my mom out and buy her a car. And that was the largest purchase that
Um,
I had. And I walked into CarMax, paid cash for it. And even the sales rep, she was like, I've never, one of the car sales women, she said, I never paid cash for a car. She was like, how does that feel? And I said, you know what? It feels good. Like, I
Feel
really
great.
was speechless myself. I said, "I cannot believe
Yeah,
that I'm actually paying cash for a car, and it's not even for me. This is me
that's
gifting this for
amazing.
someone else." And I know, I had someone close to me that said, "Well, you know what? Why not just use that money to buy your own self a new car or invest money in somewhere else? Why?" And I say, "You know what? I like to give back to others who have
Mhm.
helped me in some kind of
Especially
way."
your mama.
Yeah, so even when you're doing good things, people still find something
Oh,
negative to say about it.
oh my
Not that I need everyone to agree with what I'm doing or
goodness.
co-sign or congratulate me, but I'm doing something positive and people still find something negative to say and say, "Hey, no, you should just spend it on yourself." And it's like, no, sometimes you need to give back. And for me to have to purchase that car paid in cash and just skip over all the finance portion of the paperwork,
Yes.
I was like, I don't have to deal with a bank or anything
No,
like
no
that.
loans, no car notes. Whoo!
Yeah,
That is
so
a
it just
blessing.
it just felt really good to, for one, gift something like that to someone else, but it felt really good because I was able to pay cash for something that I've never even like I paid off my car, but I had never purchased a vehicle in cash like
That's
that before.
awesome. And
So
that's the
that's just
smartest way to buy a car. That's the best way to buy
yes,
a car. If you have the cash, if you get it, I mean, why would you if you don't need to go into debt for it, why would you? You know what I mean? So that was
yes.
definitely smart on your behalf.
Yes. So that's something that I felt that I had a couple of people just kind of say, "Hey, why would you spend that much on a car when
Mhm.
you could have, done this or done that?"
Yeah.
And I say, "You know what? I'm in a giving mood and it's just on my heart and my spirit, and that's just what I'm
And
going to
I
do,
bet
and I
you
don't
it
regret it."
changed your mother's life. Like, I bet you it just made your mother's life so much better. You know what I mean? Like in
Yes.
a lot of ways, but also just the simple fact that she doesn't have to depend on anything, any bus schedule, any bus driver, she can just go where she needs to go when she's ready to go. And that independence to give to somebody like your mom, to give them that independence, that's a bigger gift than just a car. So
It
I love
is,
that.
and
Yeah.
that made me feel really good to know that if it's hot, if it's cold, if it's raining, snowing, whatever, she has her own ride. It's
Yeah.
one thing to see, for me, I don't like to wait on people. So,
Mhm.
if I want to go somewhere, I want to be able to get in my own car. But there has been times where I didn't have my own car and I had to depend on other people for a ride or depend on the bus schedules.
Yeah.
But it did feel really good to be able to do something like that because at once upon a time, I was barely paying bills, regular
Mm.
bills.
Mm.
So to be able to pay for a vehicle and give it to someone, it
That's
really just
amazing.
gave me more motivation to keep doing well financially so that I can continue to do other things for other people.
Yes, I love that. I love that so much. All right, well, awesome. For those people out there listening or watching, who have not ever heard of Cleo and her amazing platform for bridging together yoga and finance, Cleo, give them a little taste of who you are and what your platform is about.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, I'm Cleo with Cleo Yoga Finance. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee, but I currently live in Dallas, Texas. And I decided to start Cleo Yoga Finance. It started with my own financial journey. So I was in a position where, I was a teen mom. I
Yeah.
still went to college right after high school, but I still struggled. No one talked about money at all.
Oh,
No one taught me about money at all. No one talked about it. All I knew was that I need to get me a job, try to go to college,
yes.
take out student loans because you don't have any money to go to school that's saved, and then just pay bills. So no one really talked about saving and investing and
Yep.
what to do when you actually get your paycheck, like how to actually manage
What do
the
you do with
money.
that money when you
What are
get it?
these deductions and taxes and what is all of this? So I learned the hard way. I took out student loans and I had credit cards, payday loans,
Oof.
title loans. I had so much, I mean, any type of debt you can think of, I had it and it was in
Wow.
collections.
Oof.
So so years later, I was in a position where I was just stressed, and I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna move." I was in my hometown all my life, and I just said, "Maybe if I relocate, maybe that's the answer to all of my problems," and which I quickly realized it's not. So, if you don't
No.
do the work inside, it will just follow you everywhere.
Yeah.
So, I moved, to, Florida, and I first lived in Miami for about 6 months, and then I relocated to Orlando for another
Mhm.
job, and there, I was homeless for about 4 months. I ended
Wow.
up sending my daughter, I have a daughter that's 16 now,
Yeah, yeah.
but, at the time, years ago, I sent her back to my hometown to stay with my mom, just temporarily. I'm sorry, to stay with my sister temporarily.
Yeah.
No one knew that I was homeless. I just told them, "Hey, I have this new job. It's gonna require me to travel for training, and I just need my
Wow.
daughter to stay there." So, while I was living in my car for
Wow.
4 months. The job where I was working, they had a gym on the first floor. So I would
Mhm.
shower there and I would practice yoga. I started getting into yoga and meditation
Yeah.
because I was already stressed, frustrated, trying I
Mhm.
wanted to get my money together, but I just didn't know how I was gonna get there. So I just started doing something that's active because I didn't have, a nice comfortable house or apartment to go to.
Right.
So I would go to the gym and I would work out and I would start practicing yoga. I started seeing these yoga challenges on Instagram. So I would
Mhm.
start practicing and participating in challenges. But what I realized is that doing yoga and meditation, it helped clear my mind. It helped make me feel good internally and
Mhm.
externally. So when I started to work through my financial goals, it helped me make better decisions because I wasn't physically feeling tired and
Mm.
stressed.
Yes.
And when you're working on your finances, some days are going to be great and easy and exciting. And there's going to be some other days where it's not as
Right.
inspiring and motivating. So you need something in your life that you are doing to nurture your mind and your body and your spirit. And for me, it was the yoga and the meditation. So I continued to practice yoga and I continued to work through my financial goals. And together, it helped me
Wow.
thrive. And then once I started
Wow.
making a progress in my finances, it just
Mhm.
started to hit other areas of my life,
Yeah.
career, relationships, everything just started to change. So I
Wow.
said, you know what? When I start helping other people, I'm going to show them how I use the yoga and meditation to help me in my finances and how it's really important to not just talk about money without talking about the mindset and
Yes.
talking about how we need to shift our thoughts and our feelings and emotions about money because a lot of the times the way we feel and think about money is holding us back from the it affects the type of actions that we're taking
That
every day. So that's why I am doing yoga and finance together because I want people to not just only focus on the finances, but you got to focus on the mindset. And I had to dig deeper
Mhm.
to really learn how to make changes because there were times where I would be pumped up. I would either read a book
Yeah.
or go to an event, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "You know what? Yes, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna change."
Right, right.
And then, the next week, I'm just back to what I was doing before,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
it was because I was just kinda, like, at the surface. I didn't really dig deep to figure out what happened, what's going on, why did this happen, how am I feeling? Even having to pull back from stuff I've experienced as a kid, I had to
Mm.
actually understand a whole lot of how did I get to where I am now so I can
Mhm.
move forward, so
Wow.
that's why I mix them together so I can have a constant reminder that I need to be working on myself physically, mentally, and
Mhm.
financially in order to thrive in all areas.
I love, oh my goodness. First of all, while you were telling me a story about being homeless, living in the car and going into the gym just to have a space to be physically and
Mhm.
to work through what you were feeling, like literally the hairs on my shoulder, my arm, they're like all standing up on end because that is just incredible how some people find themselves stuck in their car, living out of their car or homeless and feel like it's time to quit. It's time to give up. And
Mhm.
instead, you use that. I mean, obviously, using your support system and having your sister help you with your baby was definitely smart because sometimes you
Yes.
got to just, you got to clear everything physically and mentally so you can start from scratch. But you use that as a starting point rather than an end point. And that is just, oh my goodness, that is so inspirational. And I think it speaks to a lot of different people's lives in a lot of different ways. I mean, it could be financially, it could be mentally, it can be emotionally, it can be physically. Don't let it be the end point. Use it as a starting point. Use it as a jumping off point to the next
Yes.
phase, to the next thing, rather
Mhm.
than letting it, be an end. I love that.
Most definitely, and
Yeah.
that was not easy for me to do, is sending my daughter back because 'cause we're always together,
Yeah.
and I've been a single parent, the entire time, so it was hard for me to do that,
Yeah.
but I said, "You know what? I cannot have her living in the car," but
Yeah.
I knew this was something I needed to get through on my own.
Mm.
Because even after it was over, I had some friends that say, "Why didn't you tell me? I would've tried to maybe give you some money for a
Mhm.
hotel, for a few weeks or something," but I said, "You know what? I need to get out of this
Had to
on my
do it
own."
on my own.
And I
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and there are times where, yes, we need to seek help when we need it,
That's
but there are some times where I feel like, "You know what? I need to work through this," and I knew I needed to experience it to
Mhm.
get to my next level. So after it was over, stuff just started happening. I just really tried my best to stay positive, and that's where the yoga and meditation came in, and
Yep.
then also thinking about the people that I'm associating with every day and talking to as well. So
Yep.
you do have to have a really good support system, even if it's just one person just to talk to, even if they can't help you financially or physically, but just having someone to talk to really helps. For years, I would hold things in and not talk to people
Mm.
because I was ashamed, embarrassed, or
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
felt like everyone has their own problems. That no one has time to really hear about what I'm going through. But
yeah.
I realized that it's very you would do yourself a disservice holding it all in
That's
for
right.
years. So it's really good to talk about it. And
Mhm.
that's something that when I started to help other people with their finances and I started sharing my story, people were like, "Wow, Cleo, you were homeless before or you struggle with money?" Like people
It's hard to
don't
believe.
realize that we all have a story and we've all struggled with something.
Yes.
And a lot of us have had struggles with money, but what the good thing about it is we can use our lessons learned to
Mhm.
help other people, educate others, to help them avoid making that mistake, or if it's something they're already going through,
Yep.
helping them navigate through that process. So,
I love
yes.
that so much. I want you to talk a little bit about because you said that you struggled a lot with debt and debt mistakes. There's so many people understand credit cards, how it works. Credit card debt is very common. Student loan debt, same thing. Owing on a car, same thing. But what I think a lot of people don't talk about, and it's actually a very big crisis in across the United States, is taking payday loans. Can you talk
Yes.
about your experience doing that? Like, what is it like? What was that experience like in terms of getting a payday loan to give you money and then also to try to get out of it?
Yeah. With payday loans, I turned to them because I was in a position where I wanted to borrow money, but I couldn't either
You didn't have
because,
the credit. You was that
right.
the reason? Mm.
Credit was trash,
Right.
or my debt to income ratio
It's too much.
wasn't at the, acceptable, percentage. So I felt my only option was to get a payday loan because you typically don't have to meet any credit requirement. You just have to be working somewhere and have a job most of the time. So I would get into that. My intentions were to borrow it and pay it
Get
right
that
back and be
quick.
done. But what you realize is that when your next paycheck comes, and you have to pay it, you need that money, so you
Yeah,
just keep
yes.
doing it over and over and over again, and next thing you know, it's weeks and months and years later, and you're still in this cycle.
Yeah,
Because for me personally, my income really wasn't increasing at that time, so
yeah,
I never could afford to pay it off and not take it out again. So
yeah,
I got to a point where I was like, you know what, this is stressful
yeah.
because the interest rate on the payday loans are ridiculous.
Oh my goodness.
But for
They
people,
can go up to 400%, 300%, 400%. That's
yes,
insane.
it's very insane, and I hear a lot of people say, "Well, if the interest rate is that high, why would you even deal with payday loans?" Well,
You don't have
it's
anywhere else to go. You just
most
finished saying that
yes,
you didn't have another choice. A lot of people
yes,
go there.
yep,
It's not always
and
so logical, you know?
it's not, and I had to think about what I experienced. I don't never just automatically judge people for certain mistakes because you never know what the situation was.
That's
But for
right.
me, I was a single mom. I had one job. It didn't pay well at all. I was still thankful to be working, but
Right.
it wasn't a lot of money. So I went to the payday loans, but I was in that cycle, and they don't teach you how to get out of it. They just keep recommending you just do it again. Just
You know, that's a great point. For those of you out there who have never heard of a payday loan or not familiar, all you have to do is come in, prove that you have a job, give them a blank page, a blank
yeah.
check, and then after a week or two, whatever your term was, you have to pay them back plus whatever interest you agreed on. But if you can't afford to, say for example, you borrowed $100 and in a week you had to come back and pay them $200 back. Let's
Mhm.
say the week passes, you got your check, but you can't give them the $200. All you have to do is give them $30 and you create a new loan, and it basically keeps going. It rolls over. So now in the next week you come back, you give them the $100 that you borrowed plus the extra $100 for the interest. So now that's the 200 plus another amount in interest. And if
Mhm.
you can't pay that, then you pay another $30 and you keep
Yes.
extending it, but it keeps accruing interest. So by the
Mhm.
time it's basically like, a pile, and just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you can just keep paying $30 or 40 or $50 just to keep extending it instead of paying the full amount, which maybe you can't afford, maybe you can't find it. So they make it really easy for you to just keep
Mhm.
on extending it, renewing it, and keep owing all that money and letting it pile up. Instead of making it
Yes.
easy for you to get out of it, they make it easy for you to stay in it. So that's why it's very hard. It's worse than credit cards. It's worse
Mhm.
than personal loans. It's worse than taking a cash advance on your credit card, which are all
Yes.
things that are dangerous. But payday loans
Yes.
can be some of the worst for sure.
Yes, and definitely how I got out of those payday loans, I was never able to pay them off. It got to a point where I wasn't able to pay, so I stopped paying. They ended up, deducting it out of my checking account. So I had overdraft fees. So my checking account ended up getting closed.
Right, because they
So
had
it
your
ended up,
check. You gave them a
yep,
blank check, so they had your routing number, they had
yes.
your checking account information.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes,
Lord.
they had it all, girl. And it ended up my checking account ended up closing, charged off. So once I actually was able to pay them off, so now I had the payday loans that was charged off in collections. I also had my checking account that was in collections because the overdraft fees just kept adding up. And this was back when they was allowing multiple overdraft fees like
Yep,
in a day.
yep.
So it just got to a point where I actually, when I had nowadays I don't get a, a tax refund, but years
Yeah.
ago when I did, I just used that money to start paying off debts when I got my
Yes.
tax refund.
Yes.
So you do have to be mindful when you're taking out these loans, these payday loans, to see, okay, what am I going to use this money for? What are my other options? So that's
Yes.
why it's really important to make
Yes.
sure you are following people who are giving you this type of knowledge to
Yes.
teach you the best way. If you're trying to borrow money, okay, what are the best options versus going to the predatory lenders like the payday loans, even the title loans, rent to own stuff, like
Yes.
all of that is
It's
just
all dangerous. And
it's
you know
it
what
is.
what kills me the most about it? Because I grew up in the hood. I grew up in Brooklyn in a neighborhood that was predominantly Black and Latino. There was not a lot of other people in the neighborhood.
They're all over
And
there.
right. And that's when I would walk down like over by my house is Graham Avenue, which is Latino. We used to call it Graham, but you're not supposed to pronounce the H in Graham, but we
Yeah.
used to say Graham anyway. And on Graham Avenue, there would be like check cashing places that will
Yep.
also give you payday loans. And then when I would go to the Bronx to visit some of my friends that also lived in the hood in the Bronx, I would walk up and down and see payday loan centers, check cashing places, exactly
Yes.
the same unit in the same building as a chicken place. So they were basically trying to lure you in only in
Yes.
certain zip codes. And then when I would
Yes.
go and visit my wealthy friends after college, I started meeting some people who had wealthy
Yes.
families who would go to their community. I'm like, well, I don't see no payday loan
Mhm.
centers over here. How come y'all don't got
Yes.
no chicken place slash
Yes.
cashing place? How come y'all don't have that? And how come I
Yep.
don't see no bulletproof glass in the liquor store where you guys live at?
Yes.
I don't see.
Exactly.
When I was growing up, I thought every liquor store had bulletproof glass. I thought that was just the way liquor stores looked.
That's
And
how I seen it.
I remember my first time going into the liquor store. I was like, "Where's the bulletproof glass in here?" And then I was checking all the liquor. What's going on? Like,
Yes.
and you don't realize that communities are different until you start to see outside of your own. And I feel like payday loan centers, for sure, they target in certain zip codes, and they know where people are feeling out of desperation and feeling like they don't have the choice. And that is so predatory. There's no other word for it besides predatory.
Yeah.
It makes me so freaking mad.
Yes.
It's illegal.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because just over the years, just with work, I've had to relocate several times. I lived in Florida, I lived in Maryland, Colorado, now Texas. And what I've learned is, every state, every city, has, the good neighborhoods, the hood,
That's
the
right.
poor neighborhoods. And what I've learned, even in my hometown and all these other places, is that's where they are. These check cashing places, the liquor stores with the bulletproof glass, and all of these the rent to own places. And I used to wonder, why are they only in my neighborhood? But as
Mm,
I got older,
mm,
started to learn, understand things about finances. It's because they try to get the people who are desperate and
yes,
don't have options, or don't feel like they have any other options, or don't have the necessary financial education, don't have people teaching them about this stuff. They're hoping that they continue to stay desperate,
yes.
stay,
Keep them
in that
trapped in that
poor
cycle.
mindset.
Yeah,
Yeah, and just keep borrowing, keep getting stuck. Yeah, when you come in, of course they're going to be nice. Yeah, fill this out. Yeah, you can apply for this. But they don't talk to you about, you might
consequences.
not be able to get out of this,
Yes,
unless you
yeah,
can't get the tip. I mean, that's their job, to get you to borrow.
yeah.
But that's why it's really important for us to make sure that we are reaching those people who feel like they
Mhm.
don't have hope, or they don't have the necessary financial education
That's
to be
absolutely
able
right.
to learn how to get out of payday loans, because it's very hard cycle. Most people who take them out, it's not just a one time.
No,
It's just
back
a
to
big
back,
cycle.
consistent.
So
That's
I definitely glad I learned from it, but now I can teach other people that there are other options if you feel that you need or want to borrow, that payday loans doesn't have to be your only option, or
that's
an option at all.
That's so true. I love that you use your experience learning from that to teach other people, because that's what I felt like I had to do too when I finished paying off all my debt. I was like, how come nobody taught me this? I went to
Mhm.
school. I was a good student. I went to one of the best colleges, blah, blah, blah. Did all the things I was supposed to do. I never was taught about this. I had to learn it the hard way. And
Yes.
and that's what it's just so frustrating, because you, at the end of the day, you end up learning for yourself. And then most people keep that knowledge to themselves and just them and your family maybe. And instead, what we need to do is tell everybody, because we need to spread this like wildfire so that we could prevent other people coming up making the same mistakes again and again, generation after generation.
Yes.
Give.
And I definitely feel that we should have more conversations. And I know sometimes I hear people say that they aren't comfortable talking about it because
Yeah,
of the guilt, the shame, the
yeah,
fear. They feel like they don't trust people with their personal um, finance information or personal stories that they're sharing.
right.
But I feel that if we talk more about it, other people will be more open, because when I started to share my story, it did stem from me hearing so many other people share their stories about what they're experiencing. And I said, "Oh wow, it's not just me. I'm
Right.
not the only one that was
Not
struggling
alone. It's not
out
just
there." So it just made me feel good to hear other people stories about how they overcame certain struggles. So I learned from other people, and I said, "You know what? I don't need to underestimate what I've been through. I need to actually share it so someone else could be inspired, be motivated, and learn from it, and know that I'm human too, and I've made mistakes, and
Mhm.
I'm not perfect. I'm
That's right.
still learning as well, but I feel that I used to really underestimate the things that I did experience as if it really wasn't a big deal. But
Yeah.
as I talk to more people, educate more people, and share my story, people are like, wow, they're like taken back. Like,
Right. Because
you
it's a
actually
powerful story. It's so powerful.
yeah.
And people wouldn't really expect it. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of, I don't know. It's like it's not the type of story that you would expect. It's
Not at
definitely
all.
a
And
little
for me, most people that, whether they meet me online or in person, most people know that I try to be nice. I'm really
Mhm,
nice. I
mhm.
smile all the time. I'm always have a positive attitude. So
Yeah,
if I'm going through something, most people probably wouldn't know it, because I still, I don't really just show, a
that's
lot
right.
of us are like that. We don't really always show what we're going through. We don't always look mad or
Yeah,
sad or depressed, even though
that's
in the inside or behind closed doors, we may be feeling that way. So over all the years, people were wondering, well, when you was living in your car, when was this? Because
right.
you
Yeah, I didn't
always
know
just
you were
seemed happy, and I
right.
even with a previous job that I had where I was fired. One of my first real jobs that I
Yeah,
had, I was fired after 4 years. Um, and one of my coworkers said, "Cleo, I never would have thought you were going through anything like that, because you were always happy at work. You always were smiling, cheerful." And, I had to learn how to, that it's okay to not be okay, sometimes, that I don't always have to smile and be positive 24/7. But at the
Yeah.
same time, that just gave me more clarification that I need to continue to share my story so other people can be inspired that it's okay if you're going through something because it's temporary. It's not going to be forever.
How many other people are out there smiling and everything's okay on the surface, and inside they're probably experiencing the similar things to you. And by telling your story and shocking people, because they would never suspect that that's your background, that you've been through those things, it will resonate with people who are also, behind the surface struggling, even though they don't show it all the time. And I
Right.
know that's a sign of resilience actually for you, from you, Cleo, because I know, like,
Thank you.
my aunt and my mom, they're very similar. You would never really know that they're struggling with something emotionally, physically, financially, whatever's going on. You can't really tell on their face. They're smiling, they're offering you
Yeah.
cafecito, come on in, it's time to eat this, I cook this. And they just so nice and hospitable. You never really know what is actually going on in their mind. And I think for me in my life, those have been some of the strongest women I ever knew, who have made it through some really tough things that people can't even imagine. And it's because they're so resilient. They don't show it all the time that they're struggling. Like, mind you, me, I'm like, if I'm struggling, everybody's gonna know, because I'm like, oh my God, you guys, like, I gotta go on YouTube and tell everybody my whole life story.
Right.
I'm the opposite. So
Yeah.
that's amazing, girl. Your story is incredible. Thank you so much for taking
Thank
the time
you.
to come on the show and tell your story and share your learnings, because it's so powerful. And I know people out there listening or watching are going to leave just as inspired as me. So I want to ask two more things. One is going to be, obviously, in case people want to reach out to you and contact you, that you give them your information, which we will do at the end. But before that, I'm going to make a dollar bill with your face on it, and I'm going to put your money mantra over it. And I'm going to tell, I want everybody who has a dollar to see what you would want to tell them. What would the money message that you want everyone to know? What would you want that message to be?
Yes, so that message is one of my favorite personal quotes is don't wonder what if, take a risk. And I
Ooh.
say that because there are so many times in the past where I've
Mhm.
always wondered, what if, and I didn't make a move. I wondered, well, I don't have enough money. Well, what if this happens? Because I don't have this
Yeah.
much money saved, or I don't have this much money invested, or I don't have this job, or I don't have this. I kept saying, what if, what if, what if? And it would delay my actions because
That's right.
I'm not doing anything.
Mm.
So every
Mm.
time I stopped wondering, what if, and I took a risk, it always led me to more opportunities,
Yeah.
whether if it's job opportunities, whether if it's volunteer opportunities, whether
Yeah.
if it's opportunities to make more money. Every opportunity led me to something more valuable, not
Right.
just money, but just connections with people. Um, very great experiences in life that just makes me live a more fulfilling life. So mine is don't wonder what if, take a risk. If it's
Right.
something that you want to do, and I really related to me starting my own business because for
Yeah.
years I wanted to work for myself and start my own business, but I just never really thought it was possible. I kept
Mhm.
saying, well, I don't have this. Maybe I should go back to school, or maybe I should get this and get that. And I say, you know what? I'm
Yes.
just going to start it and learn as I go. And now that I've had so many opportunities that happen that I didn't even anticipate at all. But
That's
when you just take that next step,
Yep.
just stuff will just start happening, and you're gonna learn as you go. You're gonna still make mistakes. I still make mistakes. I'm still
100%.
learning.
Nobody's gonna be perfect, but at least you took
No.
that leap of faith and you took action. You rather than
Yes.
sitting around complaining and not doing something about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So don't wonder what if, take a risk. It will always lead you to more of the things that you really want to have in
Yeah.
your financial lifestyle.
I love that so much. Cleo, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So where can people contact you and let you know that you're inspiring to them and that your story really, really helped to motivate them today and feel like they can make a change in their financial lives just like you did?
Yes, yes. So I would love for you to connect with me on social media. So it's at Cleo Yoga Finance, and that's CleoYogaFinance. And I'm on Cleo Yoga Finance on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can also go to my website. It's CleoYogaFinance.com. And if you have questions, if you need some tips or advice, just send me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or you can email me at hello@cleoyogafinance.com if you want to learn more about yoga and finance and how I do them together, or if you're interested in any of my upcoming programs as well. I would love to have you and teach you more about how you can improve your financial lifestyle.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and you have a safe weekend as well.
If you like this video, which I'm sure you did because the video was the bomb, then you're going to want to watch all the other episodes of the Mind Your Money with MissBeHelpful podcast, and they're all right here in this playlist. So click the playlist to watch those episodes. And if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the subscribe button right now so you can get videos every single week and to join Team Be Helpful right here. That's all I have for you guys. Till next time, peace.